Are you even aware what it feels like to have a huge crash in your blood sugar where you're just not feeling great and you can't really explain, like, what is it? Why am I craving this food? How come if I eat chips or bread or chocolate, I get a little pick-me-up, but then I crash? And why do I have to keep repeating that cycle to feel better, only to feel worse again the next day? I want to dedicate today's episode to talking about 3 ways to completely kick the sugar habit. And when I say sugar, I'm not just talking about white table sugar. I'm talking about processed food, any type of a food that's going to increase your insulin and create a nasty blood sugar rise that has a monster nipping at your heels. I'm going to give you 3 easy steps right this moment that you can literally do the moment you leave this episode that are going to change your life. The first thing, realize you are not in control here to a degree. You never want to just say, I'm quitting sugar, cold turkey. Remember, I'm using sugar as a loose term. That can be processed foods. Any food that's going to rise your blood sugar or just make you feel icky. That's what I'm talking about specifically for today's episode. So you have to realize, nothing cold turkey. Here's how I want you to think about this. Imagine if somebody is an addict, right? Whether that be alcohol, heroin, anything. There's just, when you have an addiction to something, there's a very specific reason why there are steps that we take to help overcome that addiction. And if left to our own defenses, if we are struggling with addiction, we can't just leave the drug or alcohol around us and think, we're good. I'm going to leave it up to my body. I've got this in my willpower, because guess what? Your willpower isn't strong enough, especially when you're first starting. When you are going to give up processed food, when you are going to take away sugars, my goal for you is to remove it and replace it. And that is just for the first couple of months. So what do I mean by remove and replace? Let's say you're eating candy bars. Let's say you're eating chocolate. Let's say you're eating chips. You're just eating foods that we know aren't healthy. That when you lie your head down every night, you don't feel good about the choices that you made, and your body doesn't feel good either. So instead of saying, I'm quitting cold turkey, you're just gonna say, okay, what's a healthier option? If we're wanting a chocolate bar, let's slowly start to ask ourselves to eat a little bit less of that chocolate bar and replace that chocolate bar with something that isn't going to create such a huge spike in your insulin, but that also is going to nourish the body, not harm the body. Now keep in mind, that term is used loosely, like let's nourish, not harm. The reality is, if we're eating more than we should be, no matter how healthy you're eating, there's still going to be a negative effect there. Yeah, sure, maybe you won't feel terrible, but from a biology standpoint, we don't want to be eating more than we really need, because that's when issues can definitely happen. So just keep this in mind. Less is always more. Removing it means in the first 30 days or 60 days, kind of gauge who you are. When nobody's looking, when you know, like, man, I need this afternoon pick me up, know those parts of you and honor them, and put a system in place by replacing it with a healthier choice that will work for you. So if you're eating chocolate bars, Snicker bars, Twinkies, potato chips, whatever it is that are unhealthy, find an alternative, or you can DM me and I'll help you find an alternative really easily. I'm super good at that. And put that in place of there, right? Instead of the Hershey bar, instead of something not so great for you, just replace it with something that's going to offer a little more benefit to your body than it is harm. So that's the first step. Remove and replace with a better alternative. The second step, your journey is sacred to you. You on the other side of this screen. You need to make sure that you keep your goals. I always say, like, your little belief bubble to yourself. How many times do we start and fail something, and if we talk about it, you're held accountable to it. So eventually, when you hear other people starting to say to you, oh, right, like you're really gonna lose the weight, or yeah, whatever, you're gonna start believing those thoughts, but also you're taking, every time you make a commitment and you break a commitment, you're taking a little piece of something for you. So you have to make sure that that belief bubble, that part of you that is setting a goal, and I know you don't feel good every night when you go to bed. I know that there are moments you're like, why did I eat this? Or how come this is happening? Why can't I master just being healthy? How do I bridge the gap between like a little bit of indulgence and healthy? I understand it's difficult, but I'm here to make it easy for you. And part of that process is protecting yourself and not allowing people to know necessarily what you're doing. And that's not to be secretive or be deceptive. It's truly because that belief, that little part of you inside, is extremely volatile when you're starting, especially if you've had moments of starting and failing. That inconsistency, you already are having doubt. The last thing that you need is to be having that filled with doubt or embarrassment or shame when somebody that you shared something so sacred with is like, you didn't do it, why'd you do that? Right? There's an accusatory tone. It's just like degrading a child. We don't want to hear anybody degrade us. We already beat ourselves up enough. So you need to make sure to put yourself in a little bit of bubble wrap and only allow people to know what you're doing that are going to uplift you. That no matter if you fall, if you falter, if you struggle, it's all right. Here's a hand, let me pick you up. Let's do this, you've got this. And when you don't believe in you, they're gonna believe in you. That is who you grant permission to be in your belief bubble. Okay, so that's the second thing. The third and final tip is this. It doesn't happen overnight. And right now, the state of the world is in an awkward place. And we are all psychologically dealing with different emotions every single day. And that can make you want to emotionally eat, right? And the thoughts that you're thinking and the worry that you might be feeling and the anxiousness and the feeling of, is it okay to not be okay? All these things that are just at an all-time high are going to influence your ability to be disciplined right now. So you have to protect your thoughts. You have to get into a space where it is like, okay, I know the sugar monster wants to get me. I know I've been struggling with it, but the truth of the matter is it doesn't make me feel good. Even in a pandemic, when I eat all that sugar, when I eat that processed food, when I binge eat, when I don't eat, or whatever it is that you're doing and struggling with, you just have to realize that it's okay. Protect the thoughts and put systems in place that are going to help you succeed. If we're leaving a food decision up to our willpower, you're not going to win. Willpower is weak until you've built it up, right? Your why, your understanding, connecting mind, body, soul, all those parts of you to your food journey, specifically when we're looking at processed foods and sugars, is so critical because it's never really about the food anyway. I always say it's about uniting the psychology of food with the science of food and understanding the mechanisms within who you are, right? And so as you work towards getting over this sugar hump, as you're like, okay, I don't want to feel this way anymore. Remember, 3 steps: remove and replace healthier alternatives. Second step, just know that your belief, your ability is there. I believe in you. You've got to believe in yourself. Don't let people influence you or be a part of your journey that aren't safe, that don't have your best interest at heart. The last thing, the final thing, just to wrap it up, your thoughts are going to influence so much of what you can actually accomplish. I know it sounds woo-woo. I'm a little bit woo-woo, but I'm mostly science, right? But there's power in the thoughts. So when you can lie your head down every night and say, I did the best that I could do, and you gradually take away certain foods and you replace them with better foods, you're winning. You are changing your thoughts, right? And that is the objective. So as you leave this video, just realize you can do it. It's just going to take small daily steps of being consistent, honoring those 3 things that we talked about, and taking it one meal and one day at a time. I believe in you. Do you believe in you? Are you ready to end the cycle of sugar high, sugar low, letting the blood sugar monster chase you, afternoon crashes? I'm ready for you to end that because I promise you the magic of food, when you hear all these successful people obsessing about fitness and health, it's because it makes you feel amazing, right? And that is how we tap into power that we didn't even know that we had. This energetic, this force, this feeling in you, right? It's by fueling your cells on a very micro level with the right foods, and you're gonna get there. You are going to do it. Today is your day. If you are ready to end the vicious cycle of eating too much sugar, eating too much processed food, leave us a comment below. Let's start a conversation about it. I want to support you. Let me know how you're feeling, how it's going. And as always, make sure that you're signed up for our weekly email because I send these videos in recap form, but I also send you cheat sheets and I hold you accountable and I help you believe in yourself when you're not believing in you. As always, thank you for tuning in and I look forward to next week's episode.